Welcome to Broadband Action, a podcast hosted by Community Broadband Action Network. I'm Curtis Dean. You know, we've been following BEAD for, well, probably since most of us have been adults, it seems. And a lot of things have been happening lately regarding BEAD. And so we're going to give you a little BEAD update. And so joining me today, a gentleman that has written quite a bit about BEAD in broadband.io and other formats. Doug Adams, he's with Broadband Marketers. So, Doug, thanks for coming on.
Well, thanks. It's great to be here, except for you're ruining my blow off the week before, or the 3 days before Thanksgiving, putting me to work. But hey, that's all right.
I felt you need to be gainfully employed today. So that's what, and I guess maybe I'm operating on my own schedule, trying to get a lot of stuff to get done before I take a few days off. So
all right, there you go.
Thank you for indulging me in that, Doug.
Of course.
All right. So we are getting closer. Is this the beginning of the end of BEAD, or is this the end of the beginning of BEAD? Because we are now hopefully 30 to 60 days away from BEAD money actually reaching states. Is that a fair assessment, or do we still have some time to go yet?
Well, it depends. The super secret is where everybody is in NIST. Typically, these proposals, final proposals, once the NTIA blesses the proposal, says, we're done with it, you did a great job, then it moves over to NIST, and NIST has 20 days to basically do their due diligence to make sure that nobody has a red flag that's getting the money, be it for financial reasons or some other reasons. And then they'll return it to the state, and then the state has 30 days. So that's 50. 20 plus 30, 50. Look at the marketing guy doing math. But the question that I have is, and I've asked a few states, there's concern over the Ariel Roth comments about not about necessarily not providing ongoing funds for BEAD projects. Well, that's not ideal in their view, but the fact that some of the T's and C's are going to go against state law, like you can't, if you have net neutrality, no soup for you. So there is a bit of a, and there will be a showdown in a few states, because what you are asking a broadband director to do is to sign off on a plan that breaks
their own laws,
their own state laws. And the last time I checked, in the upper corner of the checks that the broadband leaders get, it says that it's from a certain state and not from the federal government. So my guess is that they will follow the law. At least the ones that I've spoken to has engaged their internal lawyers, et cetera, trying to figure out what. So that 30 days might turn into, it could be one day, or it could be more than 30 days. I don't know.
Especially if there needs to be a legislative fix for the state to take that money, which it would almost have to be.
That's going to be different for every state.
Yeah.
And the question is can they sign off and not draw down the money yet until the and then get that legislative fix? But for some of these states, net neutrality was a big deal. It was hard to get through, and it's not something that they're just going to brush off because of this. So stay tuned on that.
So what are the state issues that are at play here? You mentioned net neutrality. Aren't there some AI regulatory pieces that some states have done that's also potentially standing in the way?
Yes, that basically the federal government wants to centralize. If you have a decoder ring and could read the executive order yesterday, you will see that they clearly want to centralize AI regulation in put it in federal hands, which basically means my decoder ring says that they do not want there to be guardrails, that they want it to be, they want AI to fall under federal jurisdiction, and that they won't put up a lot of guardrails for or blocks, or and we can have the argument of whether guardrails slows down innovation or not, and then we can have the argument of whether guardrails protect people or not.
Or just let them go off into the ditch.
Yeah.
So let's take a step back here and talk about where things stand. It was just 10 days ago the first 18 states were approved by NTIA,
and since then, was it Texas,
West Virginia?
I'm looking at my posts here, buddy. Texas, West Virginia. I don't think I'm missing any. No, except for one huge caveat. The NTIA has a dashboard where they put check marks into what phase everybody's gone through.
Right.
Initial proposal, benefit of the bargain, final proposal submitted, and then the last column, final proposal approved.
Right.
This was earlier this morning with an update. It had Nebraska, Arizona, and New Jersey as approved.
Right.
This was a surprise to each state that I talked to. In fact, I was the one telling them that they were approved. They all expected that the approval was any day now.
Yeah.
But a couple were surprised that they were doing it the week of Thanksgiving.
And I was shocked when I saw that your story this morning on broadband.io, because I was like, this is a bad week to announce news like that.
Right. So a couple hours went by. I put the story up. My guess is somebody from the NTIA saw it, slapped the IT guy on the wrist, and they have taken it down from the website as approved. So my guess is Monday or Tuesday, we're going to get an announcement that Nebraska, New Jersey, and Arizona have been approved. So, and when I talk to these states that are getting approved early, the changes to from their draft proposal to their final approved proposal are kind of minimal.
And let's talk about that, because I was really surprised. We were all of us in the industry, I think, were a little, we were very concerned that those state plans and proposals were going to get blown up, but they really tweaked around the edges more than anything.
They did. They tweaked around the edges. One thing I learned this morning is that CAIs are being put to the same test with their 85% magic cap number, which surprised me because CAIs obviously are more expensive to connect. So a few states have lost some CAIs.
Community anchor institutions, for those of you who don't speak our language.
So that's not great, but for the most part, some projects might not get waivers because they're over, and maybe they have to switch to wireless or satellite. But we're not talking wholesale changes.
Yeah.
But big caveat is I did a survey of states 2 or 3 weeks ago and asked them to wet their finger and stick it up in the air and basically forecast what the changes in their proposal would look like. I got 42 states to answer. 17 of them said that it was either going to be significantly different or radically different. And I don't think it's a coincidence that none of those have been approved yet. So
that was kind of my thought. The ones that have been approved were probably the easy ones.
The layups, right?
Yeah, the layups. Yeah, and now we're getting out free throw range, and now 3-point, and who knows, half court for California, or some of the other ones that the writing's on the wall that some of these states are going to really get combed over pretty good.
Well, I guess I don't really understand the California issue is, other than they didn't want the rumor mill, such that it is, was that California had its proposal ready to post, but the NTIA asked them to hold off because of the shutdown, because they hadn't started announcing that things were approved. So I think that California actually has something to post.
Oh, okay.
But which is completely against what I would have predicted a month ago. I do think that they have something to post, so I would say any day now. I don't.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's certainly a big one.
Yeah.
And the ones that aren't getting approved yet are the ones that, well, I mean, to me, that's the ones that are the layups are, like you say, done. It's these ones that are coming yet that you're going to be scratching your chin going, okay, what's going to happen here? New York's one that I know that, and not that politics plays a role in everything, but it has a lot in BEAD, and it's a blue state.
I would say that. Well, let's remember that September 4th was the deadline. Was it the deadline to submit to the NTIA? Yes, it was the deadline to submit to the NTIA. Now we are approaching December 4th, which is next week, which would be approximately 90 days. I don't know exactly how many days it would be with the 30 or 31 day months. So they are coming up on their own deadline. But, and I don't know the number, but I would say it was between 15 and 20. Several states had extensions.
Right.
So if somebody like Texas publishes in mid-October, the NTIA has 90 days, but guess what? The NTIA date took 18 days. So that one didn't make sense to me, other than, again, as you mentioned, colors, the difference between the colors.
Yeah.
So the question then becomes is, will money hit the bank accounts of the states before the end of the year? Because on June 6th, Lutnick said he wanted to get the money out the door by the end of the year.
Right.
I think it's really going to be in the hands of the states. I'm going to go back to the NIST 30-day review of the NIST blessed proposal / T's and C's. And because when you sign that piece of paper, you have access to draw down that money the next day.
Right.
Which I believe Louisiana has done.
Right. They're the only one in the state.
They are the only, but I think they've actually gone through the process of giving my money. But
Gotcha.
I'm not 100% sure. I have no insight into Louisiana's bank account.
Well, we're always in a little bit in the dark, no matter how many good contacts you have.
Right.
So, are there any specific red flags to watch for here between now and when the final state or territory is approved? We've talked about in general about, the states that are left are probably the ones that are most problematic that NTIA is really going to go over with a fine-tooth comb. Is there anything in particular that might flag a state proposal and cause the NTIA to make a serious revision to it?
Honestly, I don't see it, because I've asked, this list of states that have been approved. So what is going on? What's the difference between initial proposal and this proposal? And they're like, well, some places the cost has made us go to wireless. Some places, if somebody's way over and they were the only bidder, maybe that's not going to get served. Maybe they have to go find another bidder or just give it to satellite. So, but to say that there's been significant changes so far would be a lie. So I would hope that our fears have been overblown, but I guess we'll find out in the next couple of weeks if indeed the layups were first, and the ones that are going to get raked over the coals are the ones that we're going to see in the next couple of weeks. But we should see a lot. We should see most of the NTIA proposals at least approved by the NTIA by the end of the year.
Yeah.
Now
Yeah.
the NIST process / state review process, that's going to push it into January or even February.
Right. Which
Um,
is an important distinction, because for those project winners that we're hoping to go out to bid in the spring, it might make it a lot more difficult to get these jobs started in 2026 versus delaying to years afterwards.
so when you say go out to bid, what can you explain? You mean them putting out RFPs?
Correct.
So I wanted to point out something, because there was a memo yesterday. I don't have it handy, unfortunately, but basically, there are different types of I wrote it down here. There are different types of states that they if I'm a state, if I'm I grew up in Indiana, so I'll just use that. If I'm Indiana and I get my project money, and I'm a fix, and I give out my money to you, Curtis, because you do such a great job.
Oh boy,
at whatever you do.
Not running a network, I guarantee you that.
If it's and I would say almost all the states are, what do they call it? Fixed award amount. They have a fixed award amount. So basically that means, Curtis, I give you the $100 million that you won. You don't have to go to RFPs for anything.
Right. But some will.
Some will. Some will.
Well, I know, there are C-band member providers that are on that BEAD list that are going to build it themselves. So that's not a factor, but there are others that are, and I know the vendors out there, especially the outside plant vendors, are like, okay, let's go, because they're going to have to mobilize to, do this work. And some will be competitively bid, while others will just be call a guy and hire him.
Well, they, depends on if there are prior relationships, et cetera, et cetera.
Right. But also, the other thing to remember is that because of the accelerated timeline with BEAD, and the BEAD proposals that went in from, say, a given operator are going to be based on some real guesswork. Very few of these projects were fully engineered, because there was no time to fully engineer the project. Instead, your engineering company did a back of the math calculation and said, well, I'm going to use numbers from 5 other projects that were done last year, and we're going to use that. And it's when you get into the detail engineering when you start to see projects maybe not turn out quite the way you wanted them to, or sometimes for the better. But you're right, it's a fixed award, so it doesn't matter if you got cost overruns, it's on you.
This is why we worry about the defaults.
Yeah.
Not only have people rushed to get a quote in, they've rushed to cut costs and try and get under those thresholds. And I think there's going to be issues, but that doesn't make me unique.
So let's talk a little bit about that, because of course, some people in the industry have been calling BEAD RDOF 2, and all the RDOF defaults that have happened have been painful. And so what would a BEAD default look like for a broadband operator that was was a sub-grantee?
That's a good question. That's above my pay grade.
Okay.
I would say that lawyers will be involved.
Were there specific penalties within the structure of BEAD? I guess I'm not familiar with it.
I'm not familiar. I think at first everybody went into. I'm sure there are penalties. Everybody went in there with high hopes that this wasn't going to be a common occurrence.
Right.
But I think it's going to be a common occurrence. Everybody does.
Well, in addition to defaults, I think you'll have providers that will have just decided, sorry, state, I've decided I can't do that. I'm not going to sign the agreement. In which case,
Oh
then
yeah, there are
the second
some.
bidder is going to
I've
get.
heard from states that have said the problem. This is going to be a problem that arises is that people are saying, "Change my mind, can't do that." The math's doesn't work. We're going to need to forego this money, this award.
Yeah.
Then what? Then what does the state do? States are going to be left scrambling to find another provider.
Will they have the do they have to automatically go if there were 2 bids on an area, or for a BSL, do they automatically have to go to that second bidder, or can they open it up and maybe be creative and say, okay,
I think
provider
they can be
next
creative,
door, you
but
can
the
come.
problem that I understand, as I understand it, is some of the people that many of the people who are dropping out are within a single bid project area.
Right.
So they're dropping from a very, very hard to reach area. It's probably expensive, or it's been designated as satellite, and satellite is not one of those that is dropping anything. So read the tea leaves.
Well, there's still a lot of tea leaves to be read even before this
Yes.
process is done. That's for sure. We got just a couple minutes left, Doug. I want to talk a little bit about the mysterious and mythical non-deployment funds. And what's your best guess on non-deployment funds? Is that states are never going to be allowed to keep that? Will they be given very tight conditions to keep it? There was a rumor out earlier this week that the executive order that President Trump announced a day before we are taping was going to be about that, but instead it was about some sort of a moonshot AI Manhattan Project type thing, which called Project Genesis. Only helps remind me of the Wrath of Khan, and
right,
scares me just a little bit. Yeah,
I'll be honest with you. I did look up because that was called the Genesis Project, and I did look up when Leonard Nimoy died, because there was hopes that maybe this Trump Project Genesis could perhaps bring him back to us, but
to create life from a life
10 years is probably beyond the scope. But yeah, I mean, beyond the jokes of the fact that the name is bizarrely similar to the Star Trek project, and it's very vague. I mean, I've read a lot of vague things from the government. This is as anyway. So to non-deployment, that we've heard a lot of things, right? How long you got?
Well, it's to me, yeah, we could do a whole session on just non-deployment and what states wanted to use it for and what they don't want to use it for.
I'm going to try to go with the quick version. Of course, we've gone from the Joni Ernst rumored bill that was going to claw everything back. Senator Wicker has had a deal that's rumored to basically reestablish the law, which just seems silly, but he has a bill that reestablishes the law that states receive their non-deployment money. I've heard some people call this non-deployment phase perhaps BEAD version 2 or BEAD phase 2. And my understanding is that this would basically, Wicker's bill would allocate the non-deployment funds to the states to build more robust infrastructure for AI, to bring some emergency response capabilities to community anchor institutions, CAIs, build more middle mile. Really, it's all good stuff. And it's needed. I think it's a great idea. My understanding, he's having a hard time getting a Democrat to co-sponsor the bill because digital equity is not on the table. It's
Right.
something that can be spent. So fast forward to last Thursday, when I thought that the bill might be announced, the fake executive order came out, whether it was a fake or a draft or whatever, and that sort of put a halt to that. And that executive order that Benton posted, Drew Broadband Breakfast also posted, appears to either not be happening or happening sometime in the future. But
Right.
so I think that really stalled out that Wicker bill. But I think today, if I were to predict, I think that the money is going to stay with the states, and there are going to be guidelines that say what you can and cannot use it for, and it's going to be
Right.
mostly for a more robust national infrastructure, state by state, obviously. Which, to me, I have no idea why anybody would complain about it, other than perfect is sometimes the enemy of good. This is a good thing. I think it'll happen, but it will have bumps along the way.
Yeah.
We're going to go back to the net neutrality. We're going to go back to the state laws that, if you don't do X, Y, or Z, you don't get to spend your own non-deployment money.
Right.
You don't get to spend your money. It's like a parent telling a child, yes, you have a savings account, but you're not allowed to touch it. So,
well, I'm encouraged by that. I think, there are lots of needs out there that non-deployment funds could be used for. I wish equity was one of them, because it's much needed. And as I've said before in various forums, BEAD without equity, without the E, is just bad. But it's not bad. It's just not excellent. So I'm with you. Don't let the excellent be the enemy of the very good. And that's where I think we're going.
Yeah. I had heard that the BEAD version 2 might replace the E in BEAD, not replace it, but change it from equity to expansion.
Yeah.
So maybe BEAD is BEAD without equity. So
yeah, a lot of people that work in digital equity, like CBAN, has done some work in that area in the past. We kind of stopped using the E word, and I started calling it empowerment, because it's much of the same thing. It's getting technology and technology skills into the hands of people who need them to take advantage of the current digital economy, and that is regardless of what demographic group they fit. It's needed across the board. So.
Right.
Well, we're running out of time, Doug. I just want to thank you again for joining us. There's if you're watching this, you lucky people, you get to see these handsome guys right before Thanksgiving. Broadbandmarketers.com. That's Doug's website. His firm can do all kinds of fun stuff to help you do better at your jobs and get the word out. So I'd
like to add that, if you're not getting your news from broadband.io, we don't have the staff that some of the other sites do have, but we are hyper focused on BEAD announcements about the latest in BEAD, about if there's a final proposal that comes out that's notable. Some of the states are just not putting out final proposals yet. None of it is approved. It's not a priority because it's not legislated that they need to put their final proposal out when it gets approved.
Right.
So, anyway, I digress. A little bit of plug.
An amazing job following this, and I really greatly appreciate it. And thanks for being our. Keep it up. Maybe take a few days off, because I don't know there'll be a lot of news between now and when we're all digesting our turkey and processing our tryptophan. But we will keep watching your reporting on broadband.io, and have you back sometime.
Thank you for having me. I always enjoy talking to you, Curtis, be it on camera or off. So thanks a lot.
And because we're on camera, Doug didn't even insult me. It was really good. And vice versa. We tease each other a lot in person. So. All right. Thanks, Doug. Appreciate you being on. And I want to thank everybody listening or watching for joining us for this edition of Broadband Action.